Okay, so how to flat out your character. So I'm not going to rely too much on my sketch right now, but just know it's there, and if you need it, it's there for that purpose. But what I want to do is flat out the character. Now, several ways to do that. One, a very cheap way. You probably want to see the cheap way first because I know that's how people are sometimes. So I'm going to go over here and make a new layer. And I'm going to use maybe, something within the range. Like, I want that hat to be brown. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, if I'm going to make it brown, I'm going to pick a brown that's really dark because I can ramp that later on. I can ramp it within its own range, and I'll show you that. So in here, I'll choose that, and I'll choose all layers. Right now, the only thing layers showing is my good outlines. And here's the advantage and disadvantage of using this method because sometimes it works. Sometimes you get a 1 pixel variance on the outside. But if you use my example perfectly, you probably won't get that 1 pixel variance too much because you've upped the resolution or you lowered the resolution and upped the document size. So see, look at that 1 pixel variance is very light. Now you get it too much resolution, like say 300, that becomes a lot more apparent. Okay, so if I wanted to fill in the gaps, let's say I wanted to fill in the gaps between that and that. Okay, here's here's what the problem is. If I go in here and start painting on top of this, I'm going to start painting on my black, and I don't want that to happen. So what I'll do is I'll change this to multiply. And that way I can fill in the gaps and I can still see my outlines crisp. And I'm only filling in the gaps to take up that 1 pixel variance. Okay, that is if you are truly worried about the 1 pixel variance that is going around your outside edge of your color. Because is it going to show up at print time? Well, let's just say this. Okay, at print time, you're going to go and you're probably going to print this back on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. But remember, this this piece of paper is now 72 inches big, and I'll throw that in perspective for you. Let's go to do a print. Okay, this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Let's make sure of that. Okay, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Now, look how much is showing. His arm. So if I hit scale of fit media, what happens? It scales it down to an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Am I going to see that 1 pixel variance? No. So just puts you in a little bit of perspective there. Okay, let me do one more color here. Let's say I do some of his skin. So I'm going to make a new color for that. I'm going to choose this dark green. And again, this time I'm just going to fill in this area. This is providing that you did all your lines well. Okay? If you did all your lines well, I can go in here all day long and just fill in these gaps. And if I wanted to choose that one color brown and want to go back to the other layer real quick, I hold Alt, click the brown, just like that. How quick that is. Okay, stuff that will fail epically is this. See this gap between the eye? So I make, what I'll do here, here's the green that I want to fill that in. And I probably accidentally put that on the wrong layer, but that's alright. Let's go in here and I'm going to just draw a green line between here and there. Okay? And then I'm going to check for gaps. Any gaps? No, 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 no gaps. Okay, good. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this tool, fill it in. And it works out. Anything that's left over, well, anything little, it's on multiply, so I can quickly fill in those other gaps in here. The other region, or the other way to do it, let's make a new layer just for this type. The other type is you can go in and fill the entire area going all the way around with a multiply. So that was multiply, right? No. Okay, there we go. So now I could fill it in with a multiply, and I'll just do a small section like this, and then I can go in here and fill it in. Now the difference here is now the 1 pixel variance actually shows up worse. So that's another way to flat out your characters, is you can brush over on the outside and quickly fill it in. That's if you don't have good enough lines. So I would just choose the first method of fixing your lines with the color and then filling in the area brown. Anything that fills in automatically, hit undo, go back, fill in your gaps, go back, fill in the area. The absolute last way, and this is only people with absolute doctor hands, and that is to take the lasso tool, go in here and make a selection. Okay, you can do that and then fill that area. Okay, another way is grab the magic wand tool and use sample all layers. Deselect. Okay, it highlights the area, and if you want to make it so that 1 pixel variance doesn't show up, you can just go select, modify, expand, 1 pixel, and then fill in the area. Let's see, what is that, brown? Yeah, that's brown. Look at that, no pixel variance whatsoever. So that's probably the best, by far the best way to do it. It's just, you always have to do that one little pixel variance. So if I fill in this, I can make sure everything looks good. If I'm not sure that it's not working for me, I can always kind of look at it using a different mode here. And that mode is seen by clicking this little arrow and clicking this little red dot. Anything white will be colorized. Anything pink or red will not. So that's a good way to check to see if your selection's made well. Okay, if you want to go back to the original thing, you just go like that, and this is brown 2, and go in here and fill in that. Okay, the 1 pixel variance shows up, so select, modify, expand. It should already have 1 pixel, so I can just quickly go in here. Anything gaps left over, I can hit with the brush. Several ways to flat out your characters. So what I'm going to do is flat out this character a little bit further, a couple areas, and then I'm going to go into a different way of ramping colors and making colors more interesting on it, and that's in the next video.